Welcome, moviegoers. How are we doing? Good. Do you have your ticket? All right, what do we have here? Real Swell. Good choice. You want to be in Auditorium 39? It's straight ahead and to the right. Enjoy. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider Man, Episode 9. This episode opens with Norman Osborn visiting Otto Octavius in prison. He goes there to essentially gloat that he is the one who put him there. Now, something that I've noticed about Otto Octavius, and I mentioned it the first time we saw him, is he's wearing his green and yellow jumpsuit, and he's got a lab coat on, which is his iconic Doc Ock suit. But he's still wearing that while he's in jail, and that cracks me up. I don't know why that's so funny, but they just let him wear whatever he wants to while he's in prison. But Norman is there to rub it in his face that he is the one who made the call to Thunderbolt Ross, got him investigated, found his warehouse, and had Iron Man come and pick him up and deliver him to this prison. Everything that Otto has been working on, all of his tech, all of his designs, all of his ideas now belong to Norman, and he didn't have to pay a dime for it. And he's hovering that over Otto's head, essentially saying, "You want to believe and have everyone else believe that you're smarter than I am, but look what I've done to you. Everything that I have was once yours, and I get to run with it. Now who's the actual smarty pants here?" And of course, Otto gets upset and he kind of jabs back at Norman and he says, "Yeah, but the kind of person you are isn't really what people want to look up to. You're a snake. You just hide in the shadows and wait for your opportunity to pounce. And it really had nothing to do with your intellect or anything like that. You were just in the right place at the right time because you were conniving and you just seized this opportunity from me." So they have that back and forth. And that leads into us being at the warehouse where Otto was. And the police and Oscorp are there seizing his property, loading it onto a truck, and headed back to Oscorp. All the while, Big Donovan and his crew are making good on the tip they received in the previous episode, where they were told where all this tech was, and they would be able to use that in their fight against the Scorpions. So we've got Lonnie, Big Donovan, who is driving, and another one of the gang members in this SUV, and they've got a tail of 3 or 4 other cars in the back, and they are tailing this escort, essentially. It's an Oscorp truck and a few police officers, a few police cars. Well, Lonnie's in the back, and he's screaming at Big Donovan, like, "What are we about to do here? We can't take on the police." And Big Donovan's like, "It's fine. We know how to take care of this." Well, they take out a few of the police cars, and they are now trying to do a few pit maneuvers on the Oscorp truck itself to try to get it derailed and crash so that they can seize the tech that's inside of it. Well, Pearl and Nico were just coming from a lunch that they were having, and they're walking out of wherever they were, and they have found this bond over the fact that they both have people in their lives who are keeping secrets from them and trying to understand where they fit in the relationship between those two other people. And they have a friendship that is growing now, a friendship that they tease will bring some sort of complicated aura to the overall friendship of everyone involved because, as you remember, Nico has a crush on Pearl. So while Pearl is trying to build this friendship, it kind of feels like it means something else to Nico, given how she feels about Pearl. Well, they go their separate ways, and Nico is walking down the street, and she is listening to a voicemail that Peter left her in the previous episode. And while she's listening to it, the truck that is carrying all this Oscorp tech that is being sabotaged by Big Donovan and the gang, it comes piling towards her. Well, she gets stuck deer in the headlights, doesn't know what to do. She slouches down onto the ground against this bus sign, and she grasps her amulet and she holds it out. And for a split second, it teases that we're about to get more information about what this amulet does and what it means. But in that same split second, and if you blink, you miss it, there's a reflection in the amulet of Spider-Man. And you kind of also get a glimpse of what he's wearing. So the camera switches over to Peter's foot, Spider-Man's foot, and it's got the red and the web lines on his foot. And then we pan up and we see the classic Spider-Man suit. Now it looks actually like the MCU Spider-Man suit, but with the full web lines in it. And I will say it looks amazing. I will also ponder, was it worth the wait? We're at episode 9 and we're finally getting him in his suit. But it's the suit that he didn't build. And it's based only off of his designs. So I'm kind of conflicted there, but the suit does look amazing. And I'm finally glad that we get it. So he swings Nico to a safer distance so that he can go back and try to figure out what's going on with this truck, try to apprehend Big Donovan and his gang. All the while, the Scorpions also show up. And Matt Gargan and the Scorpion, he shows up too. So we have this fight, this battle, this turf war erupt again. And in the streets, it's the 110th gang and the Scorpions fighting it out. Well, Scorpion, the psychopath that he is still out for blood. So he's trying to kill Big Donovan, take over the turf, and then get him out of the way permanently. Well, Peter shows up and he's like, okay, I need to confront Scorpion again. But he also sees Lonnie, and he tries to talk to Lonnie in the middle of this battle royale that's going on. And Scorpion sees Spider-Man and he goes, oh, okay, I need to take out Spider-Man, Lonnie, and Big Donovan. So he shoots his tail at Spider-Man. And as if the show, I don't know if it's intentional, but right now in Spider-Man's classic suit, he finally shows a bigger glimpse of his spider sense. Is it because we keep complaining that there isn't one? Or is this the progression of him becoming Spider-Man and he's gaining it? Either way, it isn't explained what it is. It's like he's not surprised by the feeling he gets when Scorpion's tail is coming at him. He just hones in and goes, oh, I'm in trouble, and he dodges out of the way. So it's very strange that they've introduced this spider sense for it not to be a surprise, but then don't explain why we haven't seen it up until this point. At any rate, he and Scorpion get into a fight. Now, this fight looks very good. However, and it may have been my TV, my internet connection, I'm not sure, but the frames drop so bad during this during this scene. And I don't know, and it's not the animation style. It doesn't feel intentional. It just felt like whatever the device that I'm viewing it on, which is a TV, it couldn't keep up with how quick everything was moving. It was very strange. Like the frames dropped during that scene, but it did look good still outside of the frames dropping. But again, it didn't feel intentional. There was something else going on. So Lonnie is in the background fighting other members of the Scorpion gang, and he has this realization that we're losing this battle. We should probably, regroup. So he walks over to Big Donovan and is like, hey, what are we gonna do here? Like, this isn't going our way. We need to strategize, come up with a plan. Well, Big Donovan is in a fright. He is terrified because moments ago, Scorpion had him on the ground and was about to stab him in the face. He was about to die. And in this moment, when he's talking to Lonnie, he is freaking out. He's like, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. He gets in his truck and he leaves. So he's left all the crew members there, and he wants no part of being in a gang anymore, I guess. Scorpion scared him straight. But Lonnie sees the Oscorp truck, and he's like, okay, maybe there's tech in there that can help turn the tide. He goes into the truck, and he is scrummaging through all of the boxes, all the containers, trying to find something. Well, as he's doing that, he knocks over a canister, or a box that has a canister in it, and it gets damaged, and it releases this gas inside the truck. And he's breathing in this gas, and he faints. And he's in this truck with this gas for a couple of minutes. He finally is able to bust through the door, and he kind of just falls onto the ground. He's unconscious at this point. Well, during Spider-Man's fight with the Scorpion, he sees out of the corner of his eye that Lonnie has passed out coming out of this truck. So he goes over to him, not knowing that he was just exposed to any type of chemicals, but he just sees him falling onto the ground. So he goes over to assist him, tries to resuscitate him, and Lonnie wakes up, he props him up against the truck, and everything seems fine. Well, Scorpion then attacks again, but this time Spider-Man doesn't see it coming, and he wraps him up around the neck, and he's got him strangled again, which is again weird. But Lonnie then finds some courage to go after Scorpion. Scorpion throws Spider-Man away and then tries to attack Lonnie, and he pierces Lonnie's chest. And of course, the scene makes it seem as though this is bad. But because we know who Tombstone is, we know he was just exposed to this gas, Lonnie's fine. And we see that. Lonnie takes the stinger that's at his chest, not in his chest, and he brings it away from him. Part of it breaks, and everybody's freaking out. Well, not everybody, I mean Scorpion and Spider-Man. They're like, oh, how'd you do that? And he's also got increased strength as well. So he tussles with Scorpion. Then Spider-Man also joins in, and they both team up and take out Gargan. And then something interesting happens. Do you remember the scene from Spider-Man No Way Home where Peter Parker is fighting the Green Goblin after having killed Aunt May? And he's got the glider above his head and is about to kill Norman Osborn. And Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker comes up to him and stops him and says, hey, this isn't what you want to do. Well, this Peter Parker has Scorpion's stinger and is about to end Matt Gargan. Lonnie comes up and in the same scenario gets in the way of Peter and Scorpion, who's lying on the ground, and he's like, you don't want to do this. You don't want to be like him. So I thought that was weird that they would put that in there. Again, there are so many parallels to the MCU that they're intentionally making, and it's strange. So Peter Parker comes back to his senses, and he's like, "You're right. I can't kill somebody. That doesn't make any sense as Spider-Man." So the cops are on their way. You've got sirens in the background, and the two of them exchange quips like, "Hey, we should get out of here." So they go their separate ways. Then we find out that Norman is taking inventory of everything that they've seized from Otto Octavius. They've got a board of 5 or 6 other scientists, and they are giving updates to Norman about what it is that they're working on and what they can do with the tech that they've seized. In this update is also Dr. Whitman, who is the head of the internship that Peter's in with the other scientists, with Dr. Connors, Amadeus Cho, the woman from Wakanda, I don't remember her name, and everything that they're working on. Well, he brings up the project that Dr. Connors and Peter Parker are working on. It's magnetic stabilizer. I believe that's what he called it. So they've got all these plans. Norman has all of these plans for what's going on or what he wants to do with the tech that he has. And in the previous episode, Norman took a vial of Peter's blood. Now, in the grand scheme of getting medical treatment, having your blood taken isn't a big deal. But this is Spider-Man's blood. And I figured he took that for a more nefarious purpose. And we learn that in this episode, that's exactly what it is. He wants to create more Spider-Men. And they are on their way to doing that. Dr. Whitman says something to the effect of, "We're very close to recreating Spider-Man's DNA in others." And there's this shot of all of these other spiders being injected with blood, replications of Peter's blood. And the scene ends, or the episode ends. Now, we are finally here. And by we, I mean Spider-Man. He's got his suit, which looks amazing. He has learned that with great power comes great responsibility. They don't say it. Well, I mean, those exact words. But he does reference his conversation with Norman in this realization, with great power comes great respect. And he's like, he kind of gets the understanding that that isn't how this is supposed to go. There's more to being a hero than just having the power. Now, something that I should probably go back on. There's another scene with Nico and her amulet. The two of them, Peter and Nico, are having a conversation. And Peter again is trying to apologize for not telling her that he was Spider-Man. And she kind of says she understands now. She gets it. That there are certain things that he couldn't have said because he was out saving lives while also trying to balance being a high school kid. But as Peter is exiting that conversation, he says, "Nico, I promise, no more secrets." And then Nico grasps her amulet, looks down at it, and kind of in her head also says, "Yep, no more secrets." And that's actually how the episode ends. So we're finally here. Spider-Man is in his suit, as I mentioned, and he's ready to learn really what it means to be a hero. And with only one episode left, I'm kind of torn about it taking so long. And once I've seen the next episode, I could probably give a better opinion on how I feel about the progression of this first season. but I am satisfied with where we are now. Thank you for coming to this screening of Real Swell. I hope you enjoy. As you head out, I've got 3 things to ask of you. 1, pick up your trash. These ushers don't get paid enough. Number 2, make sure you are following so you don't miss the next screening. And number 3, hit that heart for me. I'll see you all next time. Make sure you've got your ticket.